Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do every week for comicbookinvest.com, so please make sure you are checking out the article over on the site, as well as watching the video here on Rennavision. Hopefully you like what we're doing here on the channel. If you do, make sure you please like, subscribe, hit that alert button so you don't miss any of the content that's dropping. Got at least one thing hitting every day, if not more than one thing. So hopefully you guys are enjoying what putting out there. That being said, I am actually going to follow up on last week's what if topic and do a little bit more what if. But instead of doing volume 1, we're going to be looking at a couple of issues you should be on the lookout for in volume 2. So if you're curious to see what books we are talking about this week, just hang on for a second, and I'll be right back with the books. Okay, so what do we have this week? As I noted in the opening, we are again looking at Yuto the Watcher's What If series that is coming to, Disney Plus. Well, not really. I mean, this is the impetus of why I'm covering this topic, but once again, these issues that I'm going to be showing you guys really don't have anything to do with the upcoming series, which I am, kind of looking forward to. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the Marvel Zombies and, getting to see Tony Stark again, being Tony Stark, I guess, even though it's not Robert Downey Jr. from what I hear. It's not his voice. But I'm mostly looking forward, actually, to that Peggy Carter story. I don't know. It just looks good. It's just something about it just catching my eye. You see the big warmonger, Iron Man suit there. Just pretty cool. Looks like an old school Transformer to me. And then something about the sword here. The sword and the shield. It's just a cool look. So for whatever reason, I'm looking forward to that one. But as we know, that TV show isn't really taking any of its cues from any comic books. It's basically just doing what ifs based totally on the Marvel Universe movies, So it is what it is. But that being said, that doesn't mean we can't look at some what if comic books, just because a lot of these are just some fun stories. They're just interesting takes and again, just fun ideas. Like, imagine what if this happened. I mean, it's again, fun idea. Definitely a fun idea. Now, there, once again, are a few high-priced issues, ones that you're probably not going to be finding in those dollar bins, but I just want to make sure you are aware of them anyway, because these would be the ones to definitely look out for if you're flipping through the box. But the chances of you finding this in a dollar bin are very, very slim, as these are pretty pricey books. Well, at least the first one is, and that is issue 105, which, introduces that Mayday Parker. So, Spider-Girl, you're not going to find that one. I mean, this could hit like $100 now raw, so you're not finding this in a dollar bin any longer. But maybe you find some of the other ones, but a few that still, could run you like $20 plus, or like issue 4, where again, it's a Spider-Man issue, which pretty much any of the Spider-Man issues really get an extra bit of a boost for one reason or another, especially ones involving like the symbiote suit and Venom. And then there's the one that I really like is the Silver Surfer. Had the Infinity Gauntlet. That's just a fun one too. Also, cost you a few bucks, so probably not finding in those cheap boxes, but doesn't hurt for me to tell you to keep an eye out for it. Just like this one's not that expensive, but still. What if the Punisher killed Spider-Man? Yeah, you get that 129 homage, even though it's not the greatest homage in this cover here, but it is what it is. Another one that you could flip pretty easily if you do find it, but those aren't the ones we're going to be covering today. We're going to be looking a little bit deeper into it, but still ones that you might find familiar. Now, the first one that I want to kind of tackle is one I always see. I always see this one, and I buy it half of the time. I don't buy it every time I see it for $1, but I buy it half the time. And that's, what if Wolverine battled Conan the Barbarian? Because it's just a fun idea. Yeah, it's one of those things you would talk about with your friends, like who would win in a fight. Kind of like what Marco and I do when we do the Pop Culture Fight Club. Who would win? But I don't know. Definitely an interesting little story. And it's basically Wolverine gets transported back in time to where Conan is from. So he gets transferred back to Samaria or whatever. And that's kind of how this tale comes to fruition. But again, what if when they tell these stories, they really hit a lot of those well-known story beats with these characters? So Wolverine cannot escape his penchant for redheads. He just can't. The second he sees Red Sonja, he's, what? Jean? Like, there's more than one red-headed girl in the world, right, Logan? Like, I don't know, just weird. Just weird. It's just an asphyxiation. Not asphyxiation. I guess maybe that's the right word. I don't know. He's definitely has an obsession of some sort. Don't know if it's all that healthy. But there it goes. Of course, Wolverine and his redheads, they end up going throughout this tale. I'm not going to recap the whole story for it, but, of course, it's, hey, what's going on? Wolverine doesn't know how, he can't communicate because he doesn't speak the language, and misunderstandings ensue. He battles Conan, and, yeah, something happens where Conan's the one who gets brought back into the present-day Marvel universe, and Wolverine's left behind to live out his days as a tiny little king, as you can see there below with Red Sonja. Interesting take. But, again, Wolverine and his redheads. I don't know. And like I said, Conan, he gets jumped forward to go mix it up with the X-Men. And again, even this guy, he just can't, you just confused. Well, a redheaded girl. Oh, it must be Sonja. They don't really look all that much alike, apart from having red hair. But whatever. Conan. Sonja. Just can't. It is what it is. But still, a fun little book, and definitely one worth scooping up just to read this silly little tale. And you can get a couple of bucks for it, but it's not really that pricey. But anytime you get a Wolverine, and even Conan these days, it's picked up a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely worth a look. So this What If number 16 in this volume 2 is one you can probably find in those cheap boxes, because I know I have quite a few times. So let's move on to our next book. And like I said earlier, that Spider-Man and definitely Venom, especially if you mix up Venom with Punisher, this is something that people are going to look for. It's just one of those things. So what if Venom possessed the Punisher? I don't know. Granted, this isn't the greatest cover. He's a little too broad for my taste, but I do dig that the Punisher logo mixed in with the Spidey logo on the chest. Like something about that I do think is kind of cool. Now, as you might expect in this story, it's Frank Castle that's in the church, and then he gets possessed by the symbiote Venom. So there you go. Problem solved. How does he get tied to it? There it is, church, just like Eddie Brock, but this time it's Frank Castle. And of course, it being Frank Castle, he's got to have guns. So this Venom rocks guns, kind of like Agent Venom. So this is Agent Venom before there was an Agent Venom. Now, going out through this story, of course, he gets a run-in with Spider-Man, and, of course, the jilted lover, the symbiote, getting denied by Peter Parker, wants to kill him. And he and Frank have a little bit of an internal fight, because Frank is starting to lose control. So, Frank, being who he is, definitely does not care for that. He doesn't want to share with anybody. He is kind of a one-track mind. Now, Spidey, on the other hand, goes and grabs some other street-level heroes, and they have to mix it up to go take Punisher Venom down. So you get Daredevil, you get Moon Knight. Kind of fun. Similar type of battle with the sonic ray gun, and that's how they'll eventually slow Castle down. But meanwhile, while they're having this battle, Castle's having these internal struggles with the symbiote in his mind, and basically fighting through for control. And they come to a head, and eventually, Frank wins, obviously, and he goes off flying into the night as the new Punisher Venom. I find this interesting because I remember with Donny Cates' run, everybody started looking at all these, oh, look, Venom's got wings, Venom's flying. Well, you know what? Hey, look, Punisher Venom did it way back in the, back in the 90s, so wasn't that crazy of an idea or original an idea. So if you want to look for a first flying Venom, maybe it's this one. I don't know. Maybe this is a question for Topher, first flying symbiote. But you can see here, Frank's got wings, and he can fly with his Punisher. But still, fun little book. Definitely fun little book. Even if the art is a little substandard by my taste throughout this run, it's just not great. It just seems kind of rushed throughout, just very inconsistent. And but the stories are still kind of fun. Stories are definitely fun. So I still like picking these up for cheap. And for our last bit, I mention this all the time. Last issues, final issues are always worth looking at, especially with titles that eventually slow down and readership dwindles and they just get harder to find. And issue 114 of What If this is not an exception to the rule. Just like the rest, this is a tougher to find book. Now, this heated up a while ago for other reasons, which we're about to get into, but It's still a tough book to find just because it's the last issue, and just one that has a couple of mild notes, and it's mostly due to all these new characters that they introduce in this crazy story where basically all of the heroes have kids. There's different pairs, different parents, different couples than you would expect end up giving us a lot of these different offspring from a She-Hulk Hawkeye kid and Mustang, and Thor and Enchantress get together to have a kid, and Logan and Storm. Just a whole hodgepodge of people you wouldn't expect to give you offspring. But the main one of interest out of this book is Sarah Rogers, who is the daughter of Steve Rogers and Rogue, which is definitely interesting. I mean, she's right here at the top. Definitely an interesting character, and I think this was the one of the reasons why this book heated up a little while ago. I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago at this point, but still, definitely kind of a cool story here. And you can go throughout the whole thing. I'm not again recap the whole thing, but you obviously get the old Avengers and the kid Avengers all fighting together, and it plays a little bit almost like a WB show with the kids and teens, and then you have the older heroes mixed in there as well. There's this whole bit where Doctor Doom and Enchantress, his son, he tries to kill Doom, and yeah, there's a little subplots, little stories in there. It's just kind of fun, and it's a little goofy, but definitely worth a read if you can find one. But like I said, this one's a little tough to find. But as I've noted, the main reason I think the draw for this book is, the Rogue Captain America daughter, Sarah Rogers, here, because she also gets Mjolnir in her hand, so she gets to have the shield and the hammer. Definitely a cool look, and plus she's got Rogue's one of the cooler Rogue outfits, I think, like that kind of caped hood like look. I like the green and the white. It's definitely a good look. So this was one of the reasons why I think this book heated up, as people enjoyed this character, and she again brings this team together to form. They're going to be starting their own little young Avengers, I guess, this second wave of Avengers, and you got Wolverine and Storm's daughter there, and Enchantress, Thor's son. Definitely a different take, and definitely a book to keep an eye out for, because again, got a little pricey there for a little while, so it's one you want to be aware of when you're flipping through the boxes, that you can find this 114 for cheap, because it would be worth your while to do so. And that's really the three that I just wanted to cover, but I just want to just point out, when you're going through with these what if books, just grab any that you find interesting. That if the story seems interesting, you read the title of what if such and such happens, and it interests you, just grab it for $1. I mean, it's $1. It's worth just checking out, even for the read, and you never know what can happen down the line with some of these books. Like, you couldn't have planned that we were going to get female Thor, decades later, but there it is. That book that was basically worthless became very, very pricey for that reason. But just check it out. I mean, they have some cool covers, even like this issue 50. You get a cool Wolverine adamantium foil cover. It's kind of cool, and then you get the story of what if Hulk killed him. So you get fun stuff like this, and it's just again worth it just for the read if you can find it for cheap. And another one I like to just point out, because a lot of people I don't think are aware, is this issue 13 of this series also features a Jim Lee cover. I'm a Jim Lee fan, so anytime you can scoop up Jim Lee art for cheap, and something like this is it's kind of fun. Granted, the interiors are not Jim Lee; it's just the cover. But you find this one just for that alone, I'd pick it up for $1. I do pick it up for $1 because it's cool. Plus, you get what if Professor X to become the Juggernaut. Kind of a fun story, different take on the X-Men. They're obviously going to be led a little bit differently than the telepath in the wheelchair. But that being said, hopefully you enjoyed that, and are interested in some of these books that I decided to bring up. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you're enjoying the content that's going on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I, again, appreciate the feedback and the suggestions that you guys might have, of things you want to see, things you want me to cover, and what you want to see more of. I can definitely do that. So make sure you're joining me for the live shows that I like to do here on Wednesdays with Marco, as well as the Star Wars show on Sundays. That's also on the Tales from the Flip Side channel. We both show it on both our channels. And just have some fun, because the chats on both shows are very fun and very important to keeping the show going. I mean, we definitely appreciate the engagement with you guys, the viewers, because you're part of the show, you're part of the fun, and part of the community. So once again, thanks for stopping by and checking this out. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll be back next week with a different topic. Not going to do What If Part 3. We're going to do something different, but not quite sure what we're going to do yet. But we'll see you.